Your relationship with food is broken. You know exactly what you should be doing, but you can't stop overeating, the late night binges, and you can't even stick to a diet for a week. I know exactly how this feels because not so long ago, I was 248 pounds myself and look like this. In this video, I'm going to show you the exact 28-day framework I use to fix my own relationship with food and lose 70 pounds of fat in the process. But why do so many people struggle with their relationship with food? The biggest issue I see is using food as some sort of emotional crutch. You had a bad day at work, you're feeling sad, you had an argument with your girlfriend, so what do? You go reaching for some shit food in your kitchen. This emotional eating cycle means you're never really eating because you're hungry. Most of the time you're eating to fill some emotional void that food can never fill. This is a serious issue because it creates a feedback loop where whenever you feel any kind of negative emotion, you go reaching for food to cope with it. Then there's boredom eating. I used to do this all the time. Whenever I was bored, I would have a snack or go reaching in the fridge for something. The same goes for mindless eating. You could be sat on the sofa, scrolling on your phone, watching a movie, stuffing your face with whatever food you can get your hands on, and before you know it, you've ate 1,000 calories of shit. Another huge problem is the all or nothing approach people take to diets nowadays. So many influencers advocate for the perfect diet. Diets like the carnivore diet are constantly shoved down your throat, and it makes people feel like if they're not eating the perfect diet and they go slightly off track with their diet, they've completely messed up. And it creates this weird all or nothing mentality where one slip up means you completely fall off your diet. All of this combined means that people don't even understand their body's natural hunger signals anymore. Years of ignoring your body's natural fullness cues has left you unable to recognize when you've had enough, and instead of eating until you're satisfied, you stuff your face until you're completely full. The food environment we live in nowadays doesn't help either. Highly processed, calorie-dense foods that are designed to trick your brain into thinking it wants more and more. Combining all of that with the fact that fat acceptance has been shoved down all of our throats for the last decade has created the perfect storm for overeating. I myself struggled with all of these issues for years. When I was at my heaviest, my biggest coping mechanism for stress was food. I can remember Saturdays where I was sat on my sofa and for 15 hours straight all I would do is watch TV and eat junk. I ended up ordering food 4 times and I'd probably be consuming 5,000 or 6,000 calories on just one Saturday. Breaking that pattern was the catalyst for my weight loss. You need to fix the psychological patterns that drive your overeating if you want to lose fat and keep it off for the rest of your life. And I'm about to show you exactly how to do that with my 28-day framework. For the first week, we are going to focus on finding out and understanding what is actually driving your food habits. Most people have no idea why they're overeating. You may think you're hungry, but in reality, you're likely bored, tired, stressed, or sad. For this first week, all you're going to do is track everything you eat, but with a twist. You're also going to write down why you were eating it. Get a notebook out or use your phone to record what you eat, when you eat it, your hunger level on a scale of 1 to 10 before eating, your emotional state, whether you're bored, stressed, happy, sad, tired, etc., and where you were and what you were doing. At this stage, don't try and change your eating habits, just gather the data. When I first did this, I realized that 40% of the time I was eating, I was just bored, and that was really eye-opening. It's really important you identify these patterns because once you do, you can address them. Once you have a few days of entries, you'll see some patterns start to emerge. You should look for times of the day you overeat, regularly occurring emotions that cause you to eat, and activities or environments that make you mindlessly eat. For me, it was mostly when I was bored after dinner, as around 8 to 10 p.m. You also need to start to recognize what actual hunger feels like. So if you're anything under a 5 in the hunger scale, you should consider eating later on. By the end of the week, you're going to have a much clearer picture on what is actually driving your overeating, and that is a foundation for change. Now that you have more of an understanding of your patterns, week 2 is going to be about implementing structures that stop you from overeating, and we're going to start with meal structure. Plan 3 meals at consistent times daily. For these meals, you're going to want them to contain 2 elements. Firstly, a protein source. This will usually come from either meat or fish, and you should be aiming for around 30 to 40 grams of protein per meal. Secondly, you're going to want to add some high volume, low calorie foods such as fruit and vegetables. And these meals don't need to be boring chicken and rice. There is countless recipes online that have high protein, low calorie versions of your favorite foods. There is absolutely no excuse not to do this in today's world. This meal structure is going to naturally prevent you from overeating because protein keeps you satiated for longer and low volume foods literally fill up space in your stomach. The next step is to develop a non-food response to each of the psychological triggers that you identified in week 1. Let's say you identified that every time you had a stressful day at work, you came home and you started snacking on a bunch of crap. then you're going to write down what you're going to replace that action with. In this case, it could be a 10-minute walk. The key is to replace your emotional eating with positive habits. Personally, I went as far as keeping a post-it note with the list of replacements on my fridge. That way, whenever I felt like overeating, I would walk to my fridge, see the replacement, and I would do that instead. You'll actually find by doing this that 90% of the time you weren't even hungry. To prevent all or nothing dieting, you're going to schedule in 3 times in the week where you're going to indulge in something. And I don't mean a cheat meal. I mean maybe a packet of crisps or a couple of squares of chocolate. Choose foods you enjoy and eat them slowly without distractions. This approach completely gets rid of the all or nothing bullshit. It's not cheating, it's strategically including foods you enjoy in controlled amounts into your diet. After week 2, you would have started to build a structure that works with your brain and not against it. It's about putting these systems in place that prevent overeating as much as possible. By week 3, you would have identified your patterns and implemented a basic structure. So it's now time to focus on your food environment. Your environment consists of your home environment and your external environment, both of which contribute massively to how you eat. Firstly, you need to remove your trigger foods from your kitchen and replace them with lower calorie alternatives. Think crisps to popcorn and cereal to low-fat Greek yogurt. Your willpower is limited like everyone's, but if the food isn't there, you literally cannot eat it. When it comes to social situations, this is where most people fuck up. You should check menus before you visit a restaurant so you can plan what you're going to eat in advance. You may be thinking that's extreme, but it's not. We live in a world where we're taught that indulgence is our right, but that is why half the population is fat. Allow yourself to enjoy social events without feeling guilty. Just set yourself up for success by planning in advance. I always look at menus in advance and decide what I'm going to order. This prevents impulse decisions when you're at a restaurant and you're going to stay on track with your diet. After week 3 is finished, you would have built up a good level of food discipline, which is absolutely essential for long-term success. In the 4th and final week, you're going to put systems in place that mean that your new habits almost become automatic and sustainable in the long term. And we're going to do this by meal prepping. When it comes to meal prep, you want to keep it as simple and easy as possible. Most people are way too busy for complicated meal prep. For lunch and dinner, you're going to want to create a list of 10 recipes you can whip up in 10 to 15 minutes. That way, all the stress of cooking completely dissipates. Something I like to do on a Sunday is season all of my proteins for the week, put them in Ziploc bags and put them in my fridge. That way throughout the week, all I need to do is take it out of the fridge and put it in the air fryer or a pan. Also, I would recommend having a couple of go-to breakfast options. Personally for me, pretty much 6 days of the week, I eat low-fat Greek yogurt, blueberries, and honey, and it just makes it so much easier for me to keep track of exactly what I'm eating. The trick is to structure a meal prep in a way that makes it as easy as possible to eat the right things and as hard as possible to go off of your diet. Throughout the whole 28 days, you're still going to be making your food entries because it's really important for you to see your emotional triggers on a longer time frame. Once you've completed the 28 days and you've put everything in place, it's time to start thinking about your long-term progress. This isn't about following the perfect plan for the rest of your life. It's about integrating your new habits completely into your lifestyle. Identify the 3 to 5 habits that made the biggest difference to you personally. For me, it was eating protein with every meal, walking to manage stress, and removing all of my trigger foods from my kitchen. Your goal is fixing your relationship with food forever. So take these 3 to 5 habits and implement them into your wider fat loss strategy. Most importantly, you need to be consistent. That is how you're going to see long-term progress and sustain it. So there you have it. By implementing this 28-day framework, not only will you lose weight, but you'll start to realize that you're no longer obsessed with food, your energy levels go through the roof, and you just feel way better about yourself day to day. Follow this framework and I promise you, your relationship with food will change forever. If you need any help implementing this, or if you just want to speed up your weight loss and get in the best shape of your life before this summer, click the link below. You can book a call with me and we can have a quick chat and see if we'd be the right fit to work together. Other than that, if you have any questions, feel free to drop them down below. Leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.